You've found your way to the Winning Tactics podcast with host Adam Sinkus. Adam discusses winning tactics with small business owners and entrepreneurs, uncovering processes and introducing the tools and solutions for enhancing the bottom line. Thanks again for finding your way to the Winning Tactics podcast, and now your host, Adam Sinkus.
Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to another wonderful and super exciting episode of the Winning Tactics podcast. Before we get into it, I want to talk a little bit about an initiative I started with a few colleagues of mine. Mainly Chuck Hester has been one of the driving forces in it, and it is Pay It Forward. So every Tuesday through the month of December here, we are now accepting nominations for people that are new in business, that are young entrepreneurs, that are just looking for that extra help forward, people that you think are deserving of like 2.5 hours of coaching between 5 different experts within their fields, everything from PR to marketing to business coaching. Absolutely phenomenal group of people. Hit me up on LinkedIn if you have any questions about it or you want to nominate somebody, but we are picking somebody every Tuesday to give this to, and then they will be showing up on the Winning Tactics podcast as a special guest to talk about their experience after they've had that time with their coaches. So absolutely fantastic initiative. Look for some more details on that as it continues into 2021. For next year. So awesome stuff there going on. And also, I got to thank my sponsor, Cowork Hub Virtual. This is that place where consultants and coaches and freelancers can really get together and really get that sense of community. It is co-working in a virtual space. So hit up coworkhubvirtual.com to learn more about everything that you can do there and learn about your private office. And without further ado, I welcome my guest this week, Fitz Koehler. Welcome to the show. So glad to have you on. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Thank you, Adam. So yeah, I'm Fitz Koehler. I do a few things that allow me to do one thing, which is help folks live better and longer by making fitness understandable, attainable, and fun. I'm a fitness expert. I have a master's degree in exercise and sports sciences. I've been teaching around the globe for a few decades, and I focus most of my efforts as a fitness expert towards mass media. I like hitting a ton of people with one effort. So I don't do personal training. I don't do stuff in a gym. Almost everything I do is on a microphone in some fashion, which I love because I want to help everybody. Just helping one or a couple of people at a time is not okay on my book. I want them all. I own a before school walking running program called the Morning Mile, which I created about 11 years ago. And I'm very proud. Morning Miles in 400 schools globally. And we've helped hundreds of thousands of children, their families, and school faculties get fit with a simple 30-minute window before school. And then last but not least, I'm a professional race announcer. So I announced some of the largest, most prestigious running events in the United States and recently included that as an author in my new book, My Noisy Cancer Comback.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you. Today we're talking a lot about that journey, but you've had to overcome a challenge that is pretty big in the world of thing and in the world, and really pretty disruptive in your own life.
Right.
And so we're going to be talking about her battle with cancer and how she overcame that. And so I bring this topic to light because I think it's so important that small business owners understand that at any given moment in time, crisis can happen, whether it be, something with your health or your business burns down, or something, lawsuits. I mean, there's any number of things that can go on, and it's really about how we overcome that. And so that's going to be a big overarching topic of what we talk about today. But to get started, where did you come from? Where did you start with? Like, so obviously, you didn't just become like this huge race announcer and travel all over the country and stuff like that.
Yeah, I started small, teaching fitness at a women's fitness center in South Florida when I was 14. And I remember applying for the job. I'd ended up at the gym because I had knee surgery. I hurt my knee playing soccer, had surgery, physical therapy. And then to continue on with strength training, the PT said, hey, you got to join the gym. So my mom actually lied and said I was 15 so I could join. And I was strength training. I loved it. I thought fitness and the whole thing was interesting. I loved the instructors. I thought their leotards were super cool and their scrunchies were great. And I had been working at Cinnabon. So I can tell you that I am a lifelong worker bee. I made my first paycheck at maybe 7 years old, cleaning my dad's office, and I just loved earning. So I was working at Cinnabon, rolling cinnamon buns and eating the frosting in the back when my mean manager wasn't looking. And then the mean manager just continued to get meaner and meaner. So I left and I applied at the gym. And I remember the manager saying, hey, tell me about you. And I said, listen, I went to PT. I learned about the human body. I like strength training. I like being here. I like doing classes. And he goes, well, have you ever taught a class? I said, no. And it was a Tuesday. He goes, you want to teach a class Friday night? And I said, okay. And so thankfully, I'm a gamer. I'm a bit fearless and I'm a gamer. And I thought, sure, I'll give it a go. And so I gave it a go and it wasn't so bad. And he hired me on and I continued making progress. And, my career has really, it's always moved in one direction, which is up, but it's been a very, very shallow incline. Nothing ever happens fast enough, right? But I auditioned and hosted a TV show when I was, I think, a junior in college. I was on television 3 days a week. I had worked on a 5-star cruise liner around the world and taught in several countries. I started small, making small presentations and then making bigger presentations. And the more I did, the better I got, the bigger the company that wanted to hire me. And I wrote articles. And I believe I was about 20 when I figured out that my passion was mass impact. It wasn't just helping one person at a time or 20 people in the gym. I wanted to reach audiences of thousands and millions at a time. And so, I've just kept pushing, practicing. And then, simple business tenets of show up early, stay late, work harder than anybody else, be more delightful than anybody else, be a pleasure to be around, because you know what? Nobody wants to work with a cranky pants, no matter how good he or she is at their job. And so, yeah, I've built a business and my business is my name. It's Fitzness. And so if things go awry, there's only one person to blame. And I think having complete ownership has really driven me to always perform in an ethical, honest way in which I would be proud and I wouldn't get myself in any trouble.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely love that. I think, leaders of organizations are truly the ones that set the pace. And so when a leader is truly engaged and pushing to work hard and work as hard as absolutely possible, everybody else, for the most part, follows suit. So I absolutely love that. Tell me a little bit about the Morning Mile program. How did that come to fruition?
So when my kids were 3 and 5, the oldest, her group of friends, she was 5 at the time. She had some friends in kindergarten that were running and walking before school. And those kids' moms kept bragging to me, Aiden's running the morning mile. Aiden's running the morning mile. And I kept thinking, wow, how cool. I wish my kids could do that. And the morning mile was a loose kind of term that a variety of schools had been using for their morning before school walking running program. And they were all kind of different with different policies and outcomes. But I went from thinking, gosh, I wish my kids could do that, to, oh my gosh, I wish all kids could do that. That really would solve a lot of problems, not only with health and fitness and obesity, et cetera, but starting your day in an active way turns on your brains, prepares these children to learn better, and it would decrease so many behavioral problems because the kids would have dispersed their youthful energy. And so what I did is I went to the few schools that had their programs and I said, hey, I'd like to create something duplicatable. Do you mind sharing what you're doing with me? And thankfully they all said yes. And so I took their best practices and added my own, and then found sponsors to take care of the hard goods that were required to make this thing great. And I started promoting it, and it was an instant success. I think my first year I had 75 programs implemented, and it's just continued to grow from there. I'm very proud of it. It's all over America and in 3 other countries, which is cool. Very cool.
That is absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
You know, it's one of those things that I think is really cool because it didn't grow because there was just this amazing epiphany, oh, I could do this program. It grew because you saw this need in your own children and things that were already happening and just found a way to leverage it. That to me is always really interesting, and it always creates, in my opinion, the businesses that truly have the most passion about what they do.
Yeah. And I am laser focused on fitness. So, how do I create this thing that's going to work on a mass scale? And what I found is beyond my skills within fitness and communication, I'm a pretty good producer. I'm good at finding professionals and putting pieces together. And it's all worked out so far. Now, mind you, I'm not satisfied. I would like every school in America using the morning mile before I keel over, which will hopefully be a very long time from now. So, highly accomplished so far, but still scratching the surface.
Yeah. So let's fast forward a little bit because 2019 hits and your world changes.
Yep.
So tell us about that.
Yeah. So I'd had a clean mammogram in 2018, and I'm proud to say that annual exams have always been a part of my fitness platform, as well as self-exams, and thinking, hey, if I ever have one cancer cell in my body, I want to know about it right away and crush it. And so December 2018, clean mammogram. Less than 7 weeks later, in a hotel bathroom at Disney World, I was rubbing my underboob and I felt it. I felt the bean and I thought, oh crap, I got breast cancer. And so this is the game changer for me. And this is why you're talking to me and not about me. I didn't call my mom and cry. I didn't call my friends. I didn't Google it. I didn't stall and put my head in the ground like an ostrich. I picked up my phone, and within 30 seconds, I was making my appointment. And so a few days later, had that appointment. A few days later, had the mammogram and the ultrasound. And they said, yeah, we see the tumor, or the potential tumor. And we also see 3 very hard swollen lymph nodes. And a few days later, I was told, yeah, after the biopsy, you have breast cancer. And I think less than a week later, I started chemo. So it was a very aggressive, angry little cancer situation that was eager to take Fitz Koehler out and make me a part of history. And we treated it aggressively. But you're right, it turned my world upside down, much to the effect that I can imagine it might be similar if I were hit by a bus, because instantly I went from athlete to girl with dozens of doctor's appointments. I was always in for a scan or a blood draw or some sort of exam or consultation. My entire world flipped upside down. It was terrifying. And I had to plan for survival, plan to continue parenting my amazing teenage children, and then plan to continue on with my career, which I did with a vengeance.
Yeah. I love the fact that you didn't pause in panic in that moment, right? I'm sure there was a lot of panic there, but that in itself, I think, is what paralyzes so many people in tragic situations. Is you get stuck in this moment of panic and don't take action. So how did you push through mentally to go forward with action and not let the panic take over?
So I did my fair share of crying. I mean, I was definitely terrified and convinced I was going to die for at least a week or so until my doctors convinced me otherwise. But I am so driven to do the things I love to do. And I hope other professionals make sure that they are also in a career they're desperately passionate about, they would do anything to continue doing what they do, because as I was told about my treatment, which the combination of chemo drugs they gave me were apparently the most toxic type of drugs they give, I decided well before my first infusion that I wasn't giving up time with my children, at least not the special time. If they had a game, I was going to go. If they had a performance, I was going to be there. I wasn't missing out. Period. End of story. And then as well, even though my career required me to get on airplanes almost every single weekend and host tens of thousands of people, I decided I earned my rightful place on those stages. This was a career that I was desperately in love with, and I loved the people that I served, and I was not missing out on it. If I had, so for those who aren't familiar with a race announcer, I host the start and finish lines of major running events. So the Los Angeles Marathon, Big Sur, Buffalo, Philadelphia marathons. I announced the DC Wonder Woman and Batman series. And so basically, I'm the voice. You arrive at an event, I'm there to welcome you, get you informed, and I entertain, get you excited. I yell, go. You take off, go do your thing. And then you come back to me where I'm waiting for you at a finish line to give you a massive welcome and make every last person feel like they've won the race. And so what I do is, it's important work and it's fun. And I wasn't giving any of it up. Now, as I tell in the tale, the book is that it became very tricky to keep doing what I wanted to do. That I had my first chemo, and 3 days later, man, I got so sick. Have you ever had the tequila hangover or the stomach or the food poisoning? I basically had a tequila hangover for 5 months solid. Every second of every day was violently ill, and everything else went wrong too. I went bald. I went bald publicly on stage at the Los Angeles Marathon. Everything went wonky and wrong, and there I was, gray, bald, and glossy-eyed, going, runners, set, go! And, it was the whoopee parade that I got to be in charge of, but I could do that because I love my work so much. No matter how sick I was, the second I stepped on my stage, I became fueled by that runner-generated go-go juice, and it was like hitting my on switch, and I got to be full force Fitz Koehler again. It was incredible.
Yeah, I think that's really awesome. Like, you found ways to disconnect from the tragedy that was happening.
Yeah.
And you found that in the passion of your work. Yeah. And so that in itself speaks absolute volumes. Did you ever have mornings where you just woke up and you're like, am I really going to like hop on this plane and go do this weekend?
Yeah. Yes, all the time. In fact, I would show up at the airport. My husband would drop me off, and before I'd go through TSA, he would look at me and go, how are you going to do this? And I would just stare back and just say, I just am. There was no stopping me. My oncologist, bless his heart, Dr. Lucio Gordon, a genius. I call him the wizard, but he never once tried to stop me. He never said, stay home. I was hospitalized. I required blood transfusions. I was an actual sick cancer patient. But when it came for my work, he would say, okay, we need to get you up on your feet. And so I would go in for IV fluids every single day to get me, functioning so I could make it onto those planes. And then when I landed in my destination, there was often a medical team that had arranged for me to have IV fluids in Buffalo, New York, and IV fluids in Orange County, California. I mean, we went through pretty extreme measures to keep me upright, but it mattered that much. And that's one of the things I'm so grateful for. I'm so grateful I created a career that I wanted so badly, because I tell you what, if I was packing boxes at an Amazon distribution center, now mind you, that's good, honest work. I'm not picking on it, but it doesn't fuel me. I would have called in sick every single day. But because I did what I loved, I was able to find a way to keep doing it. And so hopefully anyone watching, if you love your work that much, good for you. And if you don't, let's figure it out and get you to that place, because you should be in love with your career. It matters.
Yeah, no, for sure. One thing it just keeps coming up is just your personal passion to do great things and reach great people, and the energy that you carry through that. I can see why you were able to push through and drive through this.
Yeah.
And so from a business perspective, like you're exactly right. If you are just not absolutely passionate about what you're doing, then you're probably not doing the right thing.
Right. Yeah. Would you work through chemo? If the answer is no, okay, maybe you would consider something else.
So let's fast forward a little bit. How long did that go on?
Well, I was a lucky girl who had some treatment plan changes. So I actually had chemo for 15 solid months, which is somewhat unheard of for someone who's curable. And within that 15 months, I also had 33 rounds of radiation and a couple of surgeries. And thankfully, I'm cancer free. Most importantly, here's my spoiler alert for anyone getting the book. I live. So you get to the end and I'm still around. But the adventure is pretty good.
It's like the happy version of the Titanic story. Everybody knows how it ends, but
Yeah, this is interesting, Adam. And so if you go to Amazon and you look at cancer books, and what I find is when people get diagnosed with cancer, they start looking for two things: information and hope. And when you get on Amazon and look, all of the books look so scary and so depressing. I didn't want to take any part in that because I didn't want any part of that. I looked at some of those books and I thought, oh, no, thank you. I'll figure it out without that. So be able to tell my tale in a very honest way, in a happy way, in a way that, people tell me they cry, but they laugh a hell of a lot more. And it's nice to be useful. I mean, people, when I was diagnosed, we know, and you have chemo, you'll be sick, and you might be sick, you'll likely be tired, you may be bald. So I was all those things, but nobody told me all the weird little things that go on. I had a skunk stripe down the top of my head. When my hair fell out, my eyes changed colors. Everything, every millimeter of my body changed and went wrong. And it became actually really funny at some point. And so nobody else tells that. I've gone through, since I hit publish and my book came out, I've read other memoirs, and they just are so surface level. So I get into the nitty gritty, and apparently the other cancer patients and survivors in the world really enjoy it. They're like, yes, thank you for saying that. So I don't know.
So let's talk a little bit about your support system, because obviously you didn't go this alone.
No.
Your family was there supporting you, friends there supporting you.
Yeah.
How important was that in getting through all of this?
So very important. And I'm someone who prides myself on complete independence. I always say, I don't need anybody. Everyone in my life I choose. But there were certainly days where if someone didn't bring me a drink, I wouldn't have had a drink. I was that sick. And so when I watched the older, frail cancer patients getting on their little handy van to go back to their apartments alone or whatever, it really was heartbreaking. But not only did I have wonderful support here, friends brought meals, they drove my kids, safe rides for the kids meant a lot. But then when I would get on those planes, I never wore a wig, I never wore a hat or a pink ribbon either. I never broadcast, hey, look at me, I'm a cancer patient. I just happened to be the poster child for cancer with my bald head. But on the airplanes, people made extraordinary efforts to take good care of me. Strangers were always stepping up to the plate, and even the smallest ways to just say, "Oh, you poor woman, let me do something nice for you." And when I get to my destination, it's cute. My mom was always worried. What happens? What happens if something goes wrong while you're at a race? Okay, well, I have this amazing career where there's always a medical tent or an ambulance right at the finish line where I work. So medically, I couldn't be in better hands. But then there was all of my runners, my athletes, and I say my athletes because I take full ownership of them wherever I go. And I truly love these people. And it seems to be a mutual feeling, but they brought me little lunch boxes. They would reach out in advance and say, Fitz, what can you eat? And I had this very angry stomach that was averse to things. So they would bring me the particular brand of yogurt I could eat at the time and apple juice because it's all I could drink or whatever it was. They would bring blankets if I were announcing in a cold thing and umbrellas. And they just cared. And while it was my job truly to take care of them, the tables were reversed on me quite a bit last year, and it meant a lot. It's a difficult time, and I was very grateful for all their support.
So let's step back. You said your mom was always worried about you getting off a plane and being all over the place.
Yeah.
Did she ever try and like travel with you or?
No. No, thank goodness. No, she didn't. although I did have friends say, "Hey, Fitz, I will go with you." And, part of the deal was I was a person with a sick stomach. You just would rather be alone. I slept on the hotel bathroom floors a lot, and it just was easier to be alone a lot. So again, I had help and people offered, but I didn't take everyone up on all of their offers.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I totally get that one. Sometimes when you're sick, you just want to be left alone a little bit. And that's important for the mental and physical recharge as well. So what's the weirdest thing you craved or that you could eat during all of this?
Okay, so I list in the book. It came down to my 4 food groups were tangerines, which I would eat like a dozen a day sometimes, guacamole, lots of guacamole, Kind bars, and Lucky Charms. And those are the 4 things I ate almost every day for maybe a 10-month span. Very strange. And then sometimes the window would narrow even further. Maybe it was just a cracker or whatever. But yeah, I just finished chemo in May, so I'm not super far out from my last treatment. And most of my calories still come from guacamole, tangerines, Kind bars. I've given up the Lucky Charms lately, but it's weird. It's super weird. The whole thing is super weird.
So Lucky Charms, the ever-knowing question, do you eat the marshmallows first or the cereal first?
Absolutely. Marshmallows first.
Of course. Yeah. That's the inner 10-year-old comes out anytime I see Lucky Charms.
They're magically delicious indeed.
So obviously you wrapped up chemo in May and you're starting to get back to life as normal, but it sounds like it's different now.
Well, I tell you what, while I was going through the worst part of treatment, which was basically all of treatment, there was always something kind of awful happening. I kept pace with the big things in my life. I mean, I never missed an event. I got on 22 different planes to go 22 different places. I never missed a kids event. And then in March, right before I finished treatment, the world shut down. And so now that I've bounced back physically and I'm feeling great, there's almost nowhere to go, which is certainly tricky. However, some people say, whoa, it would have been better if you had breast cancer this year because then you would have been able to rest. And I say no way, because the running community was such a big part of my cure. And if I would have just been home and sick the whole time, I mean, I already was depressed and I don't do depression. I'm the happiest girl alive for real, but I hit those levels of despair. And if I didn't have my people and my events to boost me up, I'm not sure what would have happened to me. So I'm chomping at the bit for society to open back up. I know everyone's afraid of germs, but I just got done with cancer. I'm super not afraid of this virus. I'm ready. I want to lick the doorknobs. I'm changing my finish line hugs. Next year, it's going to be a kissing booth. People can come and right on the mouth. I mean, I just want, my life is better with humans and hugs and sweat and smiles. So yeah, life has been weird and I'm trying really hard to get back to something normal.
Yes, I think we all are, and obviously your extenuating circumstances make the rest of the world's extenuating circumstances, as far as I'm concerned, very, very minuscule in the bigger picture of things, right? Because, but I wonder, what is your thought on, how things are going to progress forward? Are we going to come out of this and life's going to be full of strangers hugging and cheering on the streets?
Hey, here's the deal. People are still hugging me. I don't get access to all the people I want to, but I think people will take the vaccine. A lot of people will, not everybody. I'm not convinced I will. I may let the other, maybe a million or so people play guinea pig before I go for a shot, although I do get the flu shot every year. So, I'm pretty convinced science does a really good job. But yeah, I think it's just who we are. I'm in Florida. Restaurants are filling up. People are still wearing masks around, but people are getting back to real life. And, as soon as the University of Florida Stadium, when they allow 80, 90,000 of us to get back in there, we'll all get back in there. Some people may stay home, and I encourage them to do what feels comfortable for them. But we're free people. This is what we do. So yeah, I feel good confidence that hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll be out to life again. Life as we knew it. Hopefully.
Fantastic. So let's change gears just a little bit before we wrap up here, and let's talk a little bit about fitness with business owners, because I think that's also a big struggle point in most business owners' lives. I will stand up and say I am one of those people that probably does not get enough fitness as I need. What are some things that business owners that are busy working 10, 12 hours a day, sitting behind a desk or sitting on Zoom calls, can do to increase their personal health throughout the day and really, feel better?
Sure. So you touched on a few things, and I can tell you that the corporate speaking I've done, which is for tons of companies, Disney, Oakley, Tropicana, Office Depot, yada, yada, they bring me in and they invest in me because they know that when their workforce is fitter, they are far more productive. They bring more money. They're far more profitable, and they cost a hell of a lot less in sick time. So, when Tropicana is investing in their corporate fitness, and Disney, they're smart companies, it's a valuable thought process, right? So if your employees are unfit, they're going to cost you a hell of a lot more and produce a lot less. So consider that. And then as a leader, if you're going to do these long entrepreneur hours, and people don't give entrepreneurs enough credit, we never, how many nights do you have to lose sleep for people to take you seriously? I'm the bottom dollar. There's only me, and nobody else is responsible for fitness other than Fitz. So it's a 24-hour-a-day job, which means I need energy. I need strength and stamina, not only physically, but of sound mind. And the most successful leaders, if you look, there's a lot of research done, but executives, it's like 90% of them played youth sports. 85% of them, of the ones making $1 million and over, they're exercising almost daily. And most of them actually start their day with exercise because they know it turns on their brain, it decreases stress, allows them to focus. And many of them will claim they come up with their best ideas while they are exercising. So, your health matters, not only for you. I mean, right now, people are like, you're the people at high risk. What, the people at high risk are overweight, they're out of shape, they've earned themselves type 2 diabetes or heart disease or high blood pressure. Don't be a high risk person. For starters, get yourself out of the high risk category. Drop the term comorbidity from your medical records, because that's disconcerting. And then professionally, keep in mind that first impressions are created in, I think it's 17 seconds. So does someone who wants to do business with you decide within 17 seconds, no, she doesn't look like a ball of energy. She's a little slovenly. She isn't taking care of herself, and I don't believe she'll take good care of me. So present yourself in a way where people look at you and think, hot damn, I want to get on his short list of clients. And if you're in one of those vanity jobs like real estate, where you put your photo on billboards and bus benches and everything, your image matters. And so I'm more concerned with how well you live, quality of life, length of life. However, it's all tied together, and your quality of life isn't going to be as great when people don't look at you and think, yeah, he's a go-getter. I want to work with that guy. So your health matters, your fitness, your image matters. I hate to say it, but usually it matters. So get to work. Stop making excuses, and I can help. I actually offer tons of free resources on fitzness.com. Exact formula for weight loss is always on the front page of fitzness.com. You'll learn how to eat the right amount of the right food for the size you want to be. No diets, pills, powders, supplements, snake oils, no lies. For the most part, you can come and get the actual secret, not so secret to getting to your weight, your goal weight right there. It's one quick article and you'll have that moment and go, oh my God, I can't believe it's so simple. Duh, I wish I would have known this 30 years ago. And then you got to move your body. You got to get some quality sleep. And you have to remove the cranky people from your life, because if you keep the nasty Sally and the nasty Sam in your life, they're going to continue to add stress and you're going to make bad decisions. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, Adam.
I absolutely love that. Lots of great nuggets in there. I want to ask, what in your opinion, or I should say, what is your favorite go-to mid-afternoon healthy snack to grab from the refrigerator between meetings?
Tangerines. Citrus. It's really just citrus. I'm always peeling and eating citrus.
Absolutely love it. I can't say that I am as good about that, but I do the saltine crackers with cream cheese.
Okay, so we could do better, Adam.
I know I can do better.
Choose some produce, maybe some nuts will go a long way.
I could do better. I know that, but I also only have one package of, one little 6-pack of those, and that's I don't snack all day. So that would be my uneducated tip. Don't snack all day. It's really easy to do.
Or only snack all day. You could skip big meals and just graze on healthy stuff. Nothing wrong with that. Keeps your metabolism going.
Fair enough. Absolutely appreciate your time today. It's been absolutely wonderful. I like to wrap up every show with some final thoughts. What's one thing that somebody watching the show can take away and really apply to what they do every day?
Choose a career you're passionate about. If you're not willing to or excited to work during the worst times, you're probably doing the wrong thing. I survived cancer based on passion, perspective, positivity. I'm in control of me for the most part, and you should be in control of you as well. So it's okay to make hard decisions on your own behalf. It's okay to change careers midway. And you should love what you do so much that you're willing to do it no matter what.
Fantastic. Absolutely love that final thought. Where can people find you besides fitness.com, which we'll make sure we get in the comments for people to find you?
Yes. So fitness.com, and please get my Noisy Cancer Comeback. It's an uplifting book for everybody with, as we've talked about today, some business nuggets in there too. But if you have any cancer patients on your list, people always wonder, what do I do for them? Do this for them. This will give them some encouragement and certainly some laughs. And you can also find me at Fitzness on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And don't just follow me. When you follow, say hello, because I love making new friends and new connections.
Absolutely fantastic. We will be back next week talking about recruiting on the Winning Tactics, really getting down to the nitty-gritty of finding the right team and how to approach it and how to interview and things as a business you can offer that look enticing to job seekers out there. So should be a great episode. Looking forward to that one. As always, we appreciate everybody that joined us for the live show. If you're catching this on the replay, our replays play on YouTube and all the major podcast networks every Thursday, 1 p.m. If we don't talk to you before the holidays, have a happy holiday, and thank you so much for your time.
Well, that wraps up yet another episode of the Winning Tactics Podcast. You can find Adam on both the LinkedIn and Facebook platforms. And to support the show and ensure the success of the podcast, would you kindly consider visiting Patreon.com/Adam Sinkus? We greatly appreciate it. And until next time, from the Winning Tactics Podcast, remember, culture is how your team behaves when no one is looking. Take good care, and thanks for listening.